Hi, my name is Renee, and this is my husband, Mason. We just finished a full home remodel with Done Right. We basically put it down to the studs and rebuilt some of the kitchen and redid all of the bathrooms and the fireplace and the entryway and the floors and everything. We chose Done Right after looking online, in this era where it's really hard to find contractors and you want somebody good if we're doing a full home remodel. So I think we found them on House, and we were doing bids between, basically got down to them and one other contractor, and sat down with both of them and got a full scope of work. But I think one thing that impressed us with Ray and Mike is that we had them come here, right?
Yeah, and they were incredibly responsive. A lot of times you would send a question or you would send a message to different contractors, and then you wouldn't hear back for days or weeks, and they were always on top of it and getting back to us right away and very clear about setting expectations.
And I remember when we were looking at what the scope of work would be, and we were here with Ray and Mike, and we had a question about something. Could we, move this and do a change here, which would be a new scope item? And he actually got up in the rafters and to answer the question right there of whether it's possible or not. During COVID in particular, this was quite a while ago where we weren't comfortable meeting people in person, but it was no problem. We did a lot of Zoom meetings, so we didn't meet them in person for a while. We did several Zoom meetings to walk through different items and examples, and then because again it was a full home remodel, we didn't live here during the time, so we were able to get, we started a WhatsApp group to have the constant communication with them, and all of us were on the same channel. And then we got regular picture updates throughout the process. And, that was always super exciting. I think the first day of demo, and we were able to see it on the pictures, and within a couple of days, everything was demolished, which was a little scary, but super exciting. And then getting the updates throughout the process where things started coming together.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. I think the WhatsApp group was really central to making it all happen. Just given that it was easy to be communicative, no matter what they were doing and no matter what we were doing, and getting photos, in a good resolution that might have come from the crew, but also then sent to the team and then forwarded on to us. And that was always the most exciting part, because we could get an update on seeing where they were, since we weren't visiting the home very often throughout the process.
Yeah, or to answer questions throughout the process. If the crew was here and needed a question answered, and they could send a picture with an arrow here of is this the right thing?
Yeah.
There were a couple snafus along the way, but one thing I think that really impressed us was that Done Right and Ray and Mike always made it right. Anytime we had a question, or if we found out that a light was placed in the wrong place or whatever, then it's oh, of course we'll change it, no problem. And it was always they were always very accommodating to those things, which was good, and very responsive.
When we went into contract on the house, we immediately started working with Done Right to try and scope out the project, and we wanted to move fast so that as soon as we closed on the home, we wanted to begin on the remodel so we could move in as soon as possible. But there were a lot of unforeseen circumstances with the closing of the home, and it took us literally 10 months to close on the house. And all along those 10 months, Ray and Mike were there and checking in with us and ready and waiting. Whenever we were going to close, they were ready to jump in and get started. And those 10 months, we really got a lot done, and we were able to plan and make a lot of the decisions up front, so that when we did close, then they were much more ready, and everything had been kind of teed up at that point. Before we had even begun doing any work, we'd already known Ray and Mike for nearly a year before we could even take one single swing of the hammer inside the house. So.
Yeah, and they stuck with us.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
So they were, I would say, even when we closed, even though we had all that done, they were still estimating, 3 to 4 months is more like 4 months is what a project like this usually takes, full home remodel. So, and they got it done in less than 3 months. You know, we really wanted to be in by the holidays, and they really delivered on that. And so that was very exciting for us to be able to move in, and you know, we're extremely happy with the result. It's been great to be in our new place
Finally a
now.
reality.
Yeah.
I would absolutely recommend Done Right. You know, a lot of our friends and family members have had remodels or work done on their home, and you always hear the most awful stories about things taking, you know, twice as long, or they estimated
Over
3
budget.
months and it took a year, and I can't get a hold of them. And we didn't really have any of that, any of those concerns or issues with Done Right. And as we were saying, they were incredibly communicative and very responsive and on top of it with us along the way. And so we think we struck gold with Done Right.